Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Penapple and today I'm doing a sort of dream home speed build. So as many of you guys know, or not, I don't know, but it is my birthday, especially that's when I'm releasing this. It's a couple days before my birthday when recording this, but it's my birthday, so I thought I would do a build that's just kind of completely for me. You know, a lot of times when I do my builds, I try and think about what other people will like, not just me, you know, and so sometimes that I think prevents me from doing some stuff that might be a little bit odd. I don't know. But so I thought I would do that for this, and so this is sort of a dream home, but not a future dream home. This is like what I would love my home to be like right now. Just because I don't know what the future is gonna hold. Hopefully like 80 pugs, but right now I just have a hedgehog. Well, not just a hedgehog. I have a hedgehog, but anyways, so this house will be available for download up on the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT, and so as a lot of you probably noticed from the intro, this has CC, but what I did in this build was I started off without CC. I just had placeholders for some of the items I knew I wanted to put in, and then when I was done with the build, I will upload that, and then I went back and added CC. So it's on the gallery, won't have any CC, which is good because I made all the CC myself and I don't give it out, only because my game is kind of glitchy and I was told by EA that that is most likely my fault for producing whatever CC I have, which I don't know if I believe that or not, just because a lot of the problems I've had other people without CC have had. But moving on, I just don't feel comfortable letting it out. But if you guys want to see how I made it, you know, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below and I can show you guys. It wasn't that hard. But yeah, so we are now relatively far into this build, and you've probably noticed that it's very traditional, which is surprising for me. This is actually the third, I think, attempt, maybe second, that I did, because the first one was way too modern. It was way too big. Way too modern, way too big. And so in the second one, I went very traditional, and I was almost thinking sort of brownstone apartment or something. It was really decadent, and it was also huge. And so then I kind of took a step back, and I was like, what do you always say that you wish you lived in? And that's actually a small, like 2-bedroom-ish home. Really, like, especially because I'm living with my boyfriend right now, and I just think that would be really a fun thing to do, is to kind of like, you know, almost live in our first little home. Right now we live in an apartment, which is great, and I love my apartment, but, you know, dreams, birthday dreams. Although with this build, after I kind of stepped away from it, I was kind of like, I really was selfish with this build because there is not enough room for storage, and I don't think there'd be enough room for like some of my boyfriend's stuff, and I love him very much, and so he deserves room. So this house is not perfect by any means, but it's like, oh my goodness. But I still really like it. I tried to really incorporate a lot of the items in The Sims that I love. A lot of them I absolutely love. But yeah, so the main things, the design with this house that are very me and things that I really like, is it will become very colorful. It also has a lot of livable outdoor space, which I really appreciate. If there was one thing I'd add to it, it would actually be a desk outside. And you'll see I actually put in 3 desks, which I'll discuss later. But the desk outside thing is because I recently went to my parents' house and they had like a nice table outside and I could study there, and it was glorious. I loved it. But so that's one of the things, lots of usable outdoor space, and I find this build to be pretty roomy. I mean, it's it's not like the biggest build ever, but it's still got a fair amount of room. And also one of the things I did like was I added back in a sort of modern touch with the front windows. Right there, the sort of stripy ones. And so I really like that I was able to bring that back in, because my aesthetic and the builds I think that I tend to do the best on are modern builds. Like, I feel like it's a huge foundation for me is a modern build, like super boxy. I love it. Like, Love it. Like, other than my hot dog build, which is still like exploding in popularity, which is crazy, a lot of my most popular builds are modern builds, and I love doing them, and I find them to be a fair amount easier, because with traditional or classic homes, you have to plan in like weird shapes. Like, they can't just be boxes, and modern homes are a lot more forgiving with their boxiness, which I love. I love it. So this house used a lot of blue. Like, I used my favorite blue sort of siding. I don't know, some people will call it green. My mom would argue very heavily with me, I think, over whether it's green or blue. And I think that's just because some people see it as green, some people see it as blue. I think it's just how our eyes are formed differently, which I think is pretty cool in a way, but I see it as like a nice teal blue. Definitely more blue than green though. I don't know, sometimes I'll look at a tree and I'll be like, some of those leaves look kind of blue, and people look at me like I'm a crazy person. I mean, I am, but but yeah, so this house uses a surprising amount of blues and greens, which is interesting because my favorite colors are actually orange and yellow, but there were some sections that I really liked that were like sort of orange and yellow. They're actually, my favorite area is the dining table and like little entryway space. I love it. It's just, oh my gosh, it's perfect, and it has a pug in it, so you know, perfect. I'm like adjusting my sleeves. So here I'm doing the kitchen, which gave me a little bit of trouble. Like, I love the windows. I think it's just a bit of an awkward space, especially because at first I wasn't quite sure how I wanted this pantry space, but I've done a few pantries before, and so a lot of you know that I really love pantries. I don't know, something about them. I just love food, I guess. I mean, for sure I love food. But yeah, so this gave me a little bit of trouble, and I'm not 100% sure if I, in the end, like how it turned out. I mean, I wouldn't call it my dream kitchen. I think I would very much like this kitchen, but I don't know. It's definitely like my favorite countertop. It's like got all of my favorite, or a lot of my favorite like stuff, but I think maybe just the size or the layout just didn't quite hit home for me. But hopefully you guys like it. I mean, in the end I like it, but you know, it's just kind of a kitchen. But yeah, and I also made sure to add this little tea section because I love tea, and so does my boyfriend, and we have a huge tea collection, mostly his. I'm like an amateur compared to his amount of tea. But fun fact, I actually try and stay away from caffeine, and so I mostly drink herbal teas, and that's because I can get really bad migraines if I'm not careful with my caffeine intake. And so usually I could do like I can usually do like a chai latte, or like, you know, a black tea latte, or just whatever, or even white tea, but I can't usually do more than like a tall latte. It just, especially not like multiple days in a row, it just like really makes me a lot more prone to having a migraine, although they seem to be more light activated. And so I have like 10-ish pairs of sunglasses, and I have them in various locations, like in my backpack, I have them in my car, like backup sunglasses like in my purse, and that's just because I can get really bad migraines if I'm exposed to too much sunlight, which is a bit sad because I do like being outdoors, but I mostly don't go outdoors because I don't have time because of school, and also I burn like no other. Like, put me out, direct sunlight, 20 minutes, burnt to a crisp, like dead. But yeah, here I'm starting that sort of dining room area that I was talking about. And I also had a lot of trouble with this shape over here. It's going to end up being my office area, which I would love to have. I would love to have an office. And it also, oh my gosh, this cord just dropped. I don't know if you heard it. It's like, sorry if you guys heard that. It's like the cord connected to the mic. What was I even saying? Oh, but this will be the living room. And so I think that the living room is one of those spaces that isn't necessarily representative of what I really, really like. Just because none of the couches in The Sims look very stylish and comfortable. Especially because I like to lean up against the sides of the couch. And so all of them look like they have really hard sides. And so the spa day couches, I thought, best sort of matched looking good and also looking comfortable for me. But I wouldn't, it's not, in the end, it's not really my taste, but I think it's suitable. And like in some ways I kind of worry that the side seats, yes, like not ottomans, I don't know, I'm forgetting the word, I'm like blanking out, but I think they're a little bit too matchy-matchy. But then again, this whole build is like hecka colorful. And so here, I love this part. Here I was like trying to decide what tile I want, and I was just like hexagon. Those are like hexagons. If you look at them really closely, and I love hexagons. I have a thing for hexagons. If you look at the intro, I even managed to fit in a hexagon, like a hexagonal transition, which was fun. But yeah, like whenever I'm watching a show, or even when I'm not watching a show and somebody else is and I'm only like half paying attention, I'm like somehow managed to be like hexagon tiles. If I see them, I'm like, there's a hexagon. Those are hexagon tiles. I like those tiles. And so like my boyfriend will be playing like a video game and he'll just be going along and I'll be like, I like those tiles. And then he'll look at them and he's like, they're hexagons. And I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I just have a thing for the hexagons. I forgot to use the hexagonal shelves in The Sims. They're relatively new, but I forgot to use them. I don't know where I would have used them. I don't know if I even like them that much. I thought about using one of the hexagonal lights, but I didn't in the end, just because they're so bulky. But yeah, so here in the bedroom, I put in a grand piano. In real life, I would not want a grand piano. I mean, they're beautiful, nice sound, but I much prefer upright pianos to space and just everything, like cost. I think they're a lot more reasonable for people who aren't concert pianists. Pianist. Oh god. Okay, let's move on from that. But yeah, so I love playing the piano. I don't have access to a piano right now, which is why I really wanted to include it. I would love to have access to a piano. I mentioned earlier that I went home for like a bit. I was house sitting for my parents and they have a piano, and oh gosh, I loved it so much. I like relearned a couple pieces, and I just wish that I could have more access to the piano in general. I really miss it. I actually have a minor in music, with like, piano being my instrument. And so, but I can't really use it. I don't have any access. So I thought a piano would be really nice to stick in there, but like I said, I'd rather have an upright space. I don't know, I could just go on. I've talked about pianos before, I think, with how unrealistic it is that there's only grand pianos, but I forget which build that's in, but I'm sure it's somewhere. But so here I'm doing the bathroom, and I think I might have cut out the downstairs bathroom, and I'm not quite sure how many pictures I showed of them at the end of this, just because they're pretty simple, and I tend to find the bathrooms to be kind of boring in a way, but they're just relatively simple. I'm saying a lot. Oh god, I can't stop. I'm infected with the ums. So this, I'm trying not to say it now. Oh god damn it. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. Gosh, it's like really hard now. I'm like dying. But the upstairs bathroom has a bathtub in it, which is super intentional because I would love to be able to take baths. I haven't taken a bath in ages and I miss it so much, and I'm always so jealous of like people having bath bombs and whatnot. But here is the office, and so I mentioned before that this build has 3 different desks, and they're all mine. All my desks. And so in the office I have a desk for studying, and then I have a desk that I imagine to sort of be for editing, videos and whatnot. I thought that'd be nice. And then I end up throwing in another desk in the living room. Because sometimes what I really wish is my computer right now faces the wall, and so I can't really watch television when I'm like speed building or anything, and so I really wish that I could do that, you know, sometimes. Sometimes I use my phone like propped up to watch stuff in the background. And so that's basically, I have 3 desks. I'm really like obsessive with organization and my space and everything being nice and clear. And so I have a lot of trouble with not having enough desk space. It makes me really anxious. And so that's why there's so many desks, and why I wish I had put like a bigger table or even a desk outside. That would have been nice. But this build is so long. I mean, it's so long. Like, I think it's one of the longest builds I've shown on my channel, because usually I try and cut it down. I try not to go over like 25 minutes, you know. But this build is so long, and so I didn't want to go back and try and change anything afterwards. So this room that I'm working on right now is sort of the kind of like a guest bedroom. It's also would be Kelsfur's room. That fish tank is supposed to represent him in his cage, which is huge. Like, hedgehogs are supposed to have 4 square feet worth of cage, which is a lot, and I think I've given him more like, I don't know how much. I've given him a lot. He has a lot. I think it might be more like 6, maybe even 6.5. But I've had the space to do that, and so the more cage room you have for a hedgehog, the better the hedgehog is. As long as it's manageable for you. It's, yeah, bigger cage for the, he's a huge hedgehog. He's really big. I probably feed him too much. But he looks at me with those eyes, and then I feed him. But yeah, so that upstairs room, I also see it as more of like a chill room, because sometimes, like, you know, we have a 2-bedroom apartment and my boyfriend and I sleep in the same bed, obviously, but we still have a second bed because we used to live in 2 different places, and we kind of see that as a guest room, but we still call it just Kelsfur's room. And so, but I like to go in there sometimes when I'm feeling really anxious, because it is kind of just a separate space from what I usually occupy in the house, and so that tends to make me feel a bit better, is when I can just get like a little bit of a break. But yeah, so here in the office, I really loved those like filing cabinets. I thought those were really fun, and they end up looking amazing with the tapestry, the CC tapestry that I put in. That room also has a painting section, and I put up a whole bunch of paintings. I don't know if you could hear that, but it was like really low rumbling. But I put up a whole bunch of paintings there, and they somehow vanished, but I went back and put them in. But yeah, so, oh my goodness, a lot of stuff has passed by while I've been talking about things, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I gotta mention it. No, it's past. But the kitchen, like I said before, that kitchen section or dining room section and entryway, I just love it. I think that's surprisingly my favorite thing about the build. I don't know, it just is. I mean, I guess it's not surprising the office isn't my favorite, just because even though it's my birthday dream build, I'm still just like, gotta work, gotta do the things. So now I am working on my sort of bedroom area, which in the end, it wasn't quite what I wanted. I think it looks a lot better when I added my own CC, and like, that's like, because I don't really, like, the fruit posters are cute, and I think they're pretty serviceable, and I think they look like relatively good with that sort of yellow bed, which is by far my favorite bed in The Sims. But it doesn't quite represent me, and so I think that's why I'm not as into it. But when I add in the CC, I think it looks really great. I add in one of my favorite posters. Oh wait, no, that's in a different room. Never mind. But it's fun. Like, I have these cat posters, and like, it's like a whole bunch of cats, and they're all like crowded in one area, and then it gets like closer and closer zoomed into them, and it's really cool. And like, I haven't mentioned this before, but like, none of the CC is like my original art. I've just taken it from online, which is another reason why I don't really feel that comfortable you know, distributing it because I didn't actually make it. Like there's a lot of stuff from like, I think it's like Pugly. I think that's, yeah. And just like other artists. And so I'm just kind of like, it's probably bad enough that I'm like stealing it and putting it in my own CC, but I figure because I'm not like releasing it, I'm not saying that, hey, this is my art specifically, that it's probably better. I don't know. Internet. But here, I love those giant bookshelves, and so they look a little bit better with the walls up, honestly, but I still kept them. I thought they were nice and really cute. But yeah, so now I'm just, here I'm finally getting into the outdoor space, which, like I said, I really liked. I thought it looked really homey, and like you could really hang out there. And I wanted to have a front porch because my boyfriend and I actually used to live in a house with a whole bunch of other people, and we both really enjoyed hanging out on the porch, and I think it's nice. And I didn't really have a front porch. Oh gosh, it still sounds weird, but I didn't have one growing up. And we had a back one, but it was super like, it seemed like it was 10 years older than the rest of the house. I don't know. It's like super splintery. Like I remember sometimes I would get really bad ones. So we didn't use it that often. And we have a new one now, which is why I was able to use it to study. And it was so nice. Like I would just be studying I studied for like 3 hours out there. And like the deer would walk by. They'd be like 10 feet away. And so that was like kind of fun. There's lots of deer out where my parents live. Like, we like to say that it's a lot more common to see the deer than it is to see your neighbors, which is super true. But yeah, and so here I'm doing a sort of yoga space outside. I really like yoga. I don't really have any hardwood floors, which makes it kind of hard to practice yoga. And I used to practice that on my deck in one of my old apartments, but I don't really feel comfortable doing that because I'm in a lot more public area now with my deck, so I'm kind of more on display. But yeah, I always feel like, I always really want to get back into doing more yoga, and so, why not put a whole space for it? It's The Sims, and I loved how I used the sort of neutral flower carpets. I think that's really cute, and I also added a meditation area, and I don't really know if I even want to do meditation. I know it would be very good for me. If I could get into meditation, it would probably help a lot with my anxiety, but I don't have time for it. Or at least that's what my anxiety tells me. But yeah, so I thought I'd add that in. And I love that sort of wicker couch, which is surprising because I don't usually like wicker furniture, especially because I always feel like it won't be strong enough to hold me and I'll punch a hole in it or something. But I just love that one, and so that's included twice in a build, which is usually super taboo for me. Like, when I'm building, I try pretty hard not to include the same, like, couch in two different areas. They have to at least be different colored or something, and I think this is, but I also try not to include the same paintings over and over again. And that's just my thing. And so here I'm sizing up a truck, and so I compared it by comparing the bed of the truck to the bed, because I actually have a truck, which is why it's there, and my truck bed can almost perfectly fit a full-size bed. And so that's kind of how I got the sizing right, is because I know that trucks can approximately, their bed can actually fit a bed. So that's how I sized that. My truck is not that colorful though. Gosh, I wish my truck was that color. It's a lot nicer. My truck is just silver, and it's a nice truck. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you about my truck. My truck is a 2002, and so it's not that old. I mean, when you think about it, it's 14 years old, which sounds like a lot, but then when you also think about it, for like a college student, it's actually pretty nice. Like, I have friends who have cars from the 90s. I have a friend who has a car that still has the rocket ship seatbelts, the ones that like close in on you. But despite my truck being relatively new, it doesn't have power windows. It has rolly windows, which I actually really appreciate. And like, it's nice because like I'll turn off my car and the window will be open. I'll just be like, oh yeah, I can just roll it right up. I don't have to restart the car or turn on the car or anything. And I feel safer with them in a way. Like, I feel like if I were to ever like plunge into water or something, I wouldn't have to worry about the like lock failing. I could just unroll it really quickly. But yeah, so it's just always so weird. Like, and that friend who has the rocket ship seatbelt and who did the car from like the 90s, it has like automated windows, but mine doesn't. I also don't have a CD player or a cassette player. I just have a radio, and that's it. But the heating works well. The truck runs well. Like, it has cup holders. Actually, it didn't come with cup holders. My dad had to install cup holders. But it's really serviceable. I really love my truck. I actually am a little nervous about getting into grad school because they're all the ones I'm applying to are only in cities. And so I'm kind of like nervous about driving in cities. And so I'm like, when am I going to drive my car? But I'm sure it'll all work out. Oh, so here, this frog, for some reason, whenever I would rotate it, it would just like shoot up into space. It was like I was pressing the 9 key, but I wasn't. I was just rotating it. It was so weird. I don't know what happened there. It just like shot up. It was like bizarre. So here, I love succulents and cacti. I actually know how to crochet some, which is a lot of fun, and I like to give them as gifts. And I donated a whole bunch to like a pug rescue thing, and they like used them at a fundraiser, and that was so cool. So I crocheted for the pugs. Yeah. And so here I'm just, you know, making the garden space, making it really nice. So like I have a table, but that would be abysmal for studying. Like, I'm really picky. I spread out. I like to spread out, and so that wouldn't be what I'd be into. So I skipped out on some of the landscaping just because I don't know how interesting it was and it would have taken a while. I also skipped out on like the shading for like coloring stuff just because that takes a while and it's pretty simple. But yeah, so I'm about to start putting in the CC, and yeah, I was really proud of it. Like, I don't use CC when I'm building to put stuff on the gallery because it makes it so people can't enjoy it like I enjoy it, and I want people to enjoy it. And so, you know, it was nice to finally be able to use it because a lot of the times, now that I started a channel, a lot of the stuff I do is for the channel, and it's still fun. I still love doing it, but it's nice also to do things just for me sometimes, and so I really loved putting in all that CC. But yeah, so my birthday is in 2 days, but I'm posting this on my birthday, and so on my birthday I've decreed there's no schoolwork. Like, I have all this stuff going on, but no schoolwork. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna go see the new Star Trek movie. I've heard good things about it, and I'm gonna go to this fancy Italian restaurant, and I'm not a huge fan of Italian food per se, but I am a huge fan of tiramisu, and so here's the custom content starting to come in. And like I said, I don't own any of the art, except for that one pug that looks like my channel art. I did actually make that, and there's some little paintings, but other than that, not my stuff. And I love this traditional painting. But yeah, I was talking about what I'm going to do on my birthday, and that's actually about it. Tiramisu and the Star Wars movie. Star Trek, sorry. I'm not a true fan. But yeah, so there's that tapestry that I talked about, and I love it. I love all these tapestries that I made, and I actually took them using like Society 9 or 6 or whatever. It's one of those two. And they have tapestries, and I kind of took the patterns of my favorite ones. And here's the cats I was talking about. They get smaller as you go along. And so, yeah, this is all just really me, and I really like it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this build too. If you did, you can download it, Sans CC, up on the I have it up on the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT. Yeah, if you like this build, feel free to give me a like, a comment, or subscribe. I have screenshots coming up soon, and I will see you guys next time. And I will be older. Bye!